And welcome. This is Mary Ellen McGonagle here with your Friday afternoon MEM Edge show. And this, of course, is the show where we bring you where the action is in the broader markets. Very, very interesting week. We have some new groups emerging, so that's always exciting, and lots of other areas that we can talk about as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's agenda. As usual, we're going to take a quick look at the broader markets, make sure that things are healthy in the sense that if you are inclined, you can get involved with this evolving market. So yeah, we're going to take a look at that a new sector that is now in an uptrend, or at least certainly in the beginning stages of that. So we'll look at that and some of the stocks that are picking up quite nicely there. Also, the Dow hit a new high today. We're going to peek underneath the hood, so to speak, look at each of the, not every single one of the components, but a view and share with you some of the stronger names in that Dow, now at a new high. Gaps up, breakouts, and a lot more taking place in the market. So we are going to look at that. Let's take a minute and share with you some of the more relevant headline news that took place last week. Corporate earnings are continuing to remain robust, and that, of course, is quite positive. In addition to seeing continued strong earnings, investors are bidding those stocks up, particularly those that guide higher through the rest of the year. So that's where we're going to be seeing a lot of those gaps ups and breakouts taking place. Also this week, we did see weekly jobless claims drop. They're now close to a pandemic low. This is good, pointing to growth in the economy. The US trade deficit, it widened to a record level. Now, while it is in June, it is yet another indication of an expanding economy. Good news there. And then for July, we did see the employment rate, actually unemployment rate, drop sharply. And that's good news as well, that employers are bringing workers back in, and certainly good news as far as economic expansion and the sense that the Delta variant is not dampening the growth in the economy. Next week, we see consumer and producer price index is going to be released, and consumer sentiment as well. And we've seen this sentiment report push the markets as inflation fears push sentiment down, but more recently we have been back in an uptrend. So these are some of the more relevant numbers, because your consumer and producer price index numbers will give you a sense of where inflation is. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here we are with the daily price chart of the S&P 500. And for those of you that watch regularly, welcome back. I do like to take a look at a daily chart with these simple moving averages. Is the index above these shorter term moving averages? Are they trending upward? And then your outside momentum indicators, RSI and stochastics, appear in positive territory. So the S&P is in good standing, up almost 1% for the week. We're going to get into where that strength is emanating from, of course, as we continue to move on from here. So let's do just that. We're going to take a look at a 2-month daily price chart of each of the 11 underlying sectors in the S&P 500. So I like to add this RSI. That's a relative strength indicator, sorted descending order. And then here on the upper left quarter, this is quartile. These are your stronger areas in the market. You're going to see some, again, those of you that follow this show, you will see continuation in strength in particular areas. And then I talked about a new area coming into play. So all good news here, because we can see healthcare remains up here at the forefront. And this is a nice uptrending, really beautiful chart, to say the least. And this is something that my MEM Edge report subscribers, we did pick up on this uptrend here, a lot of it due to strong Q1 earnings during this May period, and then a continuation rally, primarily currently among those stocks that are vaccine related, and then also diabetes related stocks are doing well. A number of those names due to earnings. So that is up here at the forefront, healthcare. From here, we can take a look. Technology remains in a leadership position, and this is always good news for the market. These technology stocks are going to be faster growing, faster moving, and certainly from my work, that's my focus. I like to see tech appear in the forefront, a lot of strength continuing. And as we move on, I'll share with you within tech where that underlying outperformance is. But technology was a top performer for the week this week, helping that NASDAQ outperform the S&P. So then as we move on, here we are. This is the new group. Again, for those of you that follow my work, you'll know that I have been on the prowl for a reemergence of financial stocks, and we did get it this week. As we move on, I will share with you why and what to anticipate, but take a look because we did pick up on my MEM Edge biweekly report. We picked up on the move into financials back here, post-election, post-vaccine news, and were able to capitalize on that. We had about 4 to 5 bank stocks that really just roared out of this nice turnaround that took place. And then we did see a clear-cut underperformance. We did remove those stocks as they began to break down, but again, been on the lookout for a reversal and a turnaround within financials. We are in a period of economic expansion, and it makes perfect sense for financials to come back into play. So let's take a look at this chart. We can see we had a nice gap up here. Your MACD just now turning positive on the action taking place later this week. RSI up here in an uptrend. So that is very good news. We want to see more groups, more areas participate in this rally that will give sustainability to the current rally taking place. So as we move on, of course, we want to take a look at areas. Let's take a look at communication services, because this gap up that we saw about a week and a half ago, we did see a number of bellwether internet related stocks come in with really good numbers. XLC hit a new high. Subsequent to that, we are seeing a pullback, and I'm pointing that out because oftentimes these pullbacks can be ideal buying opportunities. I'm going to share an example of that within XLC, bellwether name here, and you'll see just what I'm speaking about. And then on the lower quartile here, these are generally areas that you want to stay away from. Certainly energy, it's not quite ready for prime time. We're seeing a number of strong earnings reports coming out, Exxon and so forth, but would not venture into this area certainly quite yet. Discretionary is down here. I will say when you're looking at these sectors, it's important to know what are the heavyweight holdings. The two biggest names in consumer discretionary are Tesla and Amazon. They're both underperforming this week. But of course, with the Delta variant, we're also seeing underperformance in cruise lines and other travel related stocks. So let's move on because we want to drill down even further behind those sectors and get a real refined sense of where the strength is, because of course we want to participate in that strength, outperform the markets. So here we are up here in the forefront. IGV is the technology software ETF, bellwether ETF for software names, and we can see software stocks are continuing to outpace the markets, up 1.7% for the week relative to the S&P, up about 1%. We are going to share a couple of names in there that are clearly outperforming it. A lot of that is earnings driven. There's so much going on as it relates to various different, there are over 200 software stocks. And I'm pointing that out because not all areas are outperforming. There are, as we drill down and look at some of these names, you will see thematic areas as far as those that are clearly outperforming. And then let's take a look. Biotech's had a very strong week, up 4%. We did get this nice lengthy multi-month base breakout on biotechs. I talked about some of the stronger areas within. We're going to take a look at some of those names. These faster moving stocks within biotechs have very sound reasons to be doing well. And then semiconductor stocks up 2%. So they're continuing their outperformance. Very, very select within semis. It's not all areas. Those of you that have not done so already, take a look at my MEM Edge report. I do have a 4-week trial special, and you will be I'll share with you where that strength is within semiconductor stocks, and those names poised to benefit from that outperformance there. So as we move on, I did want to share with you, we talked about bank stocks coming back into play. This is KRE, the S&P regional ETF, and we can see that nice downtrend reversal, breaking back above and closing the week above that 50-day simple moving average. And then your outside momentum indicators are quite constructive as well. So we're going to look at some of those names. And then one of the reasons for these bank stocks is the fact that the treasury yield, this is a chart of the 10-year treasury yield. We can see a nice general uptick from Wednesday through the close of the week. This is a double bottom on this daily chart of the 10-year treasury. It is reaching upward from here as we continue to get strong economic growth indications. And that is a look at the certainly the underlying groupings. We're getting a really good sense of where the markets are and where they are potentially heading. So let's go ahead and take a very brief break. When we get back, we have lots more to review. Hi, this is Mary Ellen McGonagle, author of the MEM Edge Report. In my biweekly report, I highlight top growth stocks as they enter buy zones, and I educate subscribers on why that stock is attractive both technically and fundamentally. In addition, you'll be alerted to when it's time to exit that stock based on negative technical action. And this biweekly report gives you confidence by providing fundamental insights into why an area of the market is strong and which companies within that strong area have the best growth profiles that'll help propel that stock higher. Subscribers to the MEM Edge report are benefiting from my expertise in uncovering top performing growth stocks. Subscribe now to take advantage of my special trial offer. And we are back. Let's go ahead and start with taking a close look at some of these biotech names. There are certainly clear-cut winners within the vaccine space, and then I'll share with you some medical products stocks that help with the distribution and certainly gosh, I can't think of the right word, but when we look at the stock, I'll share it with you as it relates to getting these vaccines delivered and so forth. So here we are with Moderna, mRNA, continued news as far as their vaccine getting approved and continuing to be distributed. So what I wanted to share with you when looking at these stocks, of course, hindsight is 2020. I did not participate in this, but I'll share with you a couple of the medical products stocks that are from the MEM edge list that had benefited from this increased distribution as employees, schools, and elsewhere are mandating vaccinations. So here we are with Moderna, and we are going to look at some gaps up relating to earnings. So what we can see here going back, this was on a positive news day. Moderna in toward the end of July had this nice gap up. I'm going to go ahead and mark this up so we can use it as precedent for some of the current gaps up that are taking place on earnings. So here is that gap up. And the thing I did want to point out to you is the huge volume. That's telling you, I want to make sure I have the, yep. So we did get 2 days of well above average volume. That's indicating institutional and now retail certainly as well, interest that could easily continue to propel the stock higher. And we did continue to get those higher volume days on the upside. So as the stock moves up from here, I'm going to share with you adding an additional simple moving average can be really quite helpful as well. So that gap up on volume, we did have positive outside momentum indicators. In conjunction with that, we had this signal black line up through the red on the MACD, very much telling you that this sideways sentiment had turned positive for the stock. So from here, a couple of things that I did want to share with you, I talked about is going ahead and putting this 5-day simple moving average on here. And this will actually act as a guide so you can see how the stock is continuing to find support at that 5-day simple moving average as it continues to trend higher. Another metric that we can look at, and certainly looking at the stock now, it is certainly in the upper reaches for that MACD, not a whole lot further upside near term, so on the prowl for a pullback, but we can also use that intra-day chart as a guide. So here we are going back to this uptick area here. And I did want to go ahead and mark this up as well. And we can see that what you want to be on the lookout for is a bullish move of the stock on this 15-minute. Actually, I did want to, let me go ahead and use a 1 hour. That's going to get us back even further timeline and be certainly from my work a little more relevant. I'm not a big user of that 15-minute. So when looking at the intraday, the 1 hour is quite good. So here we are back in that late July. This is taking us to that gap up that we referenced on big volume. And we did also see the stock prior to that. There wasn't a high volume earlier day, but the stock is now trading above a 5 and 13-hour simple moving average. We did get this shake out here toward the end of July, but take a look, your MACD is still up here in positive territory. And again, you will get these pullbacks, but this is going to present you with an opportunity when the stock breaks back above the shorter term moving averages and then trends higher. So let's go ahead and move on from here, because I did want to share with you other areas of the market that are performing quite well. I talked about earnings season being a big driver. So I'm going to go back and share with you some other gap up based breakout type dynamics that are taking place subsequent to a very strong earnings season. So what we can see from here is the fact this is team, and I do want to get to a daily price chart here. And here we are, TEAM is a software stock, and we can take a look at this nice gap up here subsequent to earnings. So here we are on this daily price chart. I talked to you about that concept of earnings being a big driver, And of course, the stock did go ahead and talk gap up from here. So what we want to look for is a couple of characteristics that can take place subsequent to this gap up. This is one of them, where the stock gaps up, and then we can see it continues to trend higher, and that's very bullish. I'm going to share with you some other activity here as it relates to the stock, what can occur following a gap up. So here we are. Let's go ahead and add an additional simple moving average here to the stock. Talked about using that 5-day as being relevant once these stocks really begin to take off. And we can see really that the TEAM at this juncture is overbought. Your RSI is up above 70. And we can also see that that MACD is also at the upper reaches of its trading range. So that is indicating that the stock very likely is due a pullback. But let's go ahead and take a look at some other examples here of stocks that have reported earlier. This is Nike, a daily price chart. Big gap up here. So this is what you can really use as your precedent. Talk about this 5-day. We did get a little undercut, but I will tell you, this is when consumer stocks overall pulled back sharply because of those sentiment fears, inflation fears. Nike held in remarkably well relative to its peers and then has since regained its uptrend. So we can see that the stock is remaining in a very nice confirmed uptrend. This actually is ideal action because earlier I did point out to you, for instance, with TEAM, when that MACD gets really reached up here, the essence is that perhaps there is not further upside. So this pullback here really allows the stock to reset. And despite hitting a new high, we can see that the dynamics are still in a sideways phase, indicating further upside for Nike. So let's go ahead from here. And I'm just going to share with you another example. These are prime time stocks, really quite liquid, widely followed, but they can be used as guidance. This is Chipotle, CMG, big gap up here, tremendous earnings, tremendous outlook. I talked about the outlook needing to be positive as well. So we can see again on this daily chart, big volume on this gap up. Adding that 5-day simple moving average becomes really quite helpful. This is that pullback that I talked about in consumer related stocks, but it recovered quite nicely, again, allowing the stock to set up and trade higher. So from here, we are going to take a look at some of the stocks that have gapped up this week, because we want to know what to potentially be on the lookout for as these stocks move forward. So first up, we have Paylocity, PCTY. They are payroll human resources, and today they gapped up 10%. And so we can see, let's just take a quick look here at some of the volume characteristics and so forth. And we can see big, nice, heavy volume. MACD not really in the upper reaches, similar to this historical period here where it eventually pulled back. And your RSI a little overbought, but we can see historically that the stock can remain overbought and still extend its gains. Now, I will say this move at this juncture, the stock is well extended above this 5-day simple moving average. So from here, I would anticipate PCTY to mark time until the 5-day catches up with the stock. So that is certainly one name to keep your eye on and put on your radar for that potential pullback. Let's take a look at another stock that's really in an entirely different area, but it did have a nice gap up on earnings, and keep it on your radar for further potential upside. This is PRAA Group. up quite a bit today, big volume, but your MACD is just now turning positive. This company has a portfolio of defaulted consumer receivables, came out with very strong numbers. The other dynamic that you want to see when these stocks come in with strong numbers is a base breakout upon the release of that report. And we did get that here. This is a smaller company, so it's going to have a not quite as dynamic looking chart, but I did want to point out that the outlier momentum indicators are not overbought. So I'm looking for further upside with this stock, but I do want it to, it is extended certainly away from any 5-day simple moving average. Let's take a look at another software stock that gapped up this week. This is HubSpot. And again, we did get that dynamic that is very bullish when you see these gaps up, and that is a nice base breakout. We also have nice volume characteristics. So here we are, base breakout, big volume, and then your outside momentum indicators still relatively early in their upside advance. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and share with you an intraday chart so we can get a better sense for further upside, what to be on the lookout for. Here we are with that 1 hour chart. This is Thursday's gap up, big earnings, and the stock is very rightfully marking time. You can see that your outside momentum indicators are still positive. So we are going to just keep an eye on this particular stock with an eye toward further potential upside. So let's go ahead. I promised that we would take a look at those components within the Dow as it hit a new high today. This is a 2-month daily price chart. Again, the RSI and in descending order. We already did take a quick look at Nike. Microsoft has been a bellwether outperformer among software, but I would be remiss in not sharing with you this really nice chart of Goldman Sachs. So what we can see here is that the stock today on this gap up 3.5%, Goldman did have a very nice base breakout. And unlike regional banks, Goldman's revenue sources are coming from trading. They just started a new cryptocurrency desk and other characteristics that are really helping their earnings. They reported 2 consecutive very, very strong earnings results. So Goldman looking very constructive here, and certainly a relative outperformer within the Dow. Let's see some of these other names that we can take a quick look at. Here is Salesforce CRM, potentially poised to break out of this base. It had a big day on Thursday. I was unable to cover really any news, but a weekly chart might help convince you that CRM does look interesting because it did peak in price back here quite a while ago, and it is potentially forming the right side of a base. And then as we move on, we can take a look at some of these other stocks that are really setting up quite nicely. This is JP Morgan, JPM. We can see that it today has reversed this recent downtrend. Now, from my work, we are still a little too early. I'm going to want to see at least 1 or 2 more upside days here. I want to see this MACD trend up here above that net neutral with the RSI trending upward as well. And then, of course, we want to stay away from these underperformers, Amgen slipping, guiding lower for the year and so forth. You want to be up here in these stronger areas up here in the forefront. I'm going to leave it at that. Everyone have a great weekend. And again, go ahead and use that link below. Take a 4-week trial of my MEM Edge report. And please hit that like button if you like what you've seen. Take care.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.